Can the words success, leadership, and humility coexist? Can individuals make a good living? Can organizations be profitable and at the same time be fair, trustworthy, and treat people well?
It's easy to think of bigger-than-life individuals like Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., Nelson Mandela, and Mother Teresa, who are very successful in accomplishing their goals while carrying themselves with integrity and being a positive influence in our world. But what about the rest of us?
Today we're going to talk about a very special type of leadership. It's an alternative approach to traditional management. It promotes success and well-being at the same time. This type of leadership is called humble leadership. It's also known as servant leadership.
We can learn to practice humble leadership without creating the expectation that we have to be perfect. It's possible to balance our own goals with the needs and perspectives of the people around us.
Humble leaders are able to recognize both their strengths and limitations without resorting to defensive, harsh, or avoidant strategies in the hopes they can maintain a certain status. Humble leaders are able to recognize both their strengths and limitations without resorting to defensive, harsh, or avoidant strategies in the hopes they can maintain a certain status. They listen to feedback, remain open to ideas, to advice, and they create an environment where people feel included.
Well, that's it. The World Cup is over. Football didn't come home. In this sentence, the coach for the English soccer team, Gareth Southgate, described his pain and disappointment, but also humility and acceptance with a hint of self-deprecating humor.
Southgate has been described by many as the perfect example of humble leadership. As the coach of the national team, he led them to their first major final since 1966 and has been the first manager to win knockout matches at 3 consecutive tournaments for England's men's soccer team.
There were many skeptics when Southgate was first appointed. His thoughtfulness was confused for indecisiveness, his quiet demeanor for weakness. But over time, he has demonstrated that it is possible to be highly competitive while using genuine management style that is not based on traits like ego and bravado.
Southgate is an example of how honesty, authenticity, and inclusivity can be combined with hard work and courage to help create a positive and productive environment that yields a sense of community and purpose.
But perhaps the most important aspect that characterizes his approach as coach is his ability to lead by example. People are more likely to truly believe and be part of a project when they can see a leader that knows how to carry themselves.
Obviously, players in a team or workers in a business need to have the skills they need to be successful. Motivation by itself is not a substitute for expertise. Recruitment and cultural fit are critical for any organization to have good foundations. Humble leadership is more about building upon that base, developing relationships, creating trust, allowing people to grow, encouraging and sustaining innovation, while also managing problems, obstacles, and setbacks.
Now, when we imagine successful leaders, we have this tendency to envision someone who is intelligent, charismatic, and confident. We intuitively assume they naturally enjoy of these characteristics, that they are special. Instead, the research points out that soft skills seem to be what sets them apart and that these soft skills can be learned.
You might remember that in our previous episode we talked about decentering as the ability we can practice to improve perspective taking, objectivity, fairness, and to better connect with others.
We hope we can help you see how humble leaders are characterized by their ability to decenter and how this approach brings benefits to others and to the organization at large.
Soft skills include being a good listener, having compassion, and knowing how to build rapport. These abilities facilitate the creation of an environment where people are more likely to share ideas, stay motivated, feel valued, and feel like they are encouraged to take risks and be innovative.
You might be wondering, if this is so true, why do we fall for self-serving and narcissistic leaders? The answer is complex, but according to researchers like Margarita Mayo at the IE Business School in Madrid, fear can play an important role.
According to Professor Mayo, high levels of anxiety during difficult times can create fertile ground for an opportunistic leader. When charismatic leaders are self-serving, they can use their perceived good image to sell people the idea that only they can offer the needed solutions.
These leaders often make grandiose promises, and to deliver on these high-reward outcomes, they rely on heavy-handed, authoritarian approach that demands a top-down hierarchical order and loyalty. A question that came up in one of our events was, can a leader be both humble and charismatic?
The Greek word charisma refers to a favor or gift that has been received from God. This word comes from the noun charis, which in turn means grace. We believe that true charisma can be a very beautiful attribute.
It's possible to be both humble and charismatic. The difference is that humble leaders don't just rely on their charisma to get things done. Charisma is never a substitute for good solutions. Charisma is never a substitute for integrity. Unfortunately, charisma can have a dark side, and we should be careful not to be seduced by leaders and instead learn how to be critical about their work.
Some aspects that can help us think critically about our leaders include questions like, does my leader focus on team success? Or are they more preoccupied with personal recognition? Are they willing to share credit and delegate responsibilities?
Are they empathetic and compassionate towards followers and colleagues? Do they encourage open communication and collaboration?
The mindset of a humble leader requires a radical shift from ego to eco. Instead of looking for personal advantage, ego, the humble leader is part of an ecosystem where the purpose is larger than individual needs.
The outcomes of this approach are clear. Organizations experience increased achievement, innovation, satisfaction, and engagement, and decreased toxicity, corruption, and turnover.
In our next episode, we will talk about the power of making a pause. The field of positive psychology is often perceived as a non-stop obsession with doing everything and anything towards achieving personal development. We will talk about the importance of creating gaps, pauses, space, time, room to breathe, reflect, and pace ourselves.
Remember, you can also listen to this episode in Italian and Spanish. Please consider supporting us with a small donation by visiting our website, www.togrowhappy.com.
We hope this episode can help you be happy.
Goodbye.
Ciao.
Adios.